And welcome to that. Nah. Let's see who's well, that does show up pretty on the screen. Good morning, people. How we doing today? Dennis, good morning. Cody, good morning. How's everybody doing? Trying to get things working this morning. I'm going to try a little bit more of a close-up. If this will hold through here, it'll be a little easier for you guys to see. Hey, awesome, Cody. Bill, good morning. Yeah, Cody, just give me a heads up when you get it, so I'll be watching. You know, I don't typically go but once a week to check my my post office box. So when you get it sent out, just let me know, and I'll be sure to be watching for it. Right on. Thank you very much. Yeah, this was that the piece that I worked off of. Hey, Terry, good morning. This is the flake right here that I took yesterday. The first flake off this material. And then that's what we've got so far off of it. We're gonna do a little bit of a shortened live today. I got my buddy Shane over. We're gonna hang out for a little while, so I figured we'd do a little bit of a. Now there went the. Let me get it set back up here. Trying to get a little bit. Yeah, that's not quite. Don't know how well I'm going to be able to hold it. Yeah, I might be able to keep it in that if it'll stay there. Try to show you guys a little closer angle at what I'm doing with the fine flaking on this. We're getting pretty close. Got to do a little bit more shaping. I'm going to do one more pass. You can see there's a little bit of some mass on there the way it's. Whoop. Got to try to maybe just a little close. Let me take that out just a little. Whoop. Let's see if that's better. I think that'll work better because I can actually keep it in frame that way. All right. So what we've got here is a little bit of a, you can see there's a slight hump on the back of that. It's real minimal, but I'm gonna just kind of grind up this edge a little bit. Put a little dust on there. All right. Now I'm going to put this, I'm trying to get it to an angle here where I can show you guys. All I'm doing is putting that on that edge and just straight down. Towards the tip like that, if I press in too much, it'll try to run over and take off that other edge. So what we're doing is just letting that flake follow the convexity that we created in it. See that series of flakes, that one went to right there. And you can see, hey, Bless, thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. You can see how these flakes coming off there, going down this way from the tip, how they've kind of isolated this little area right here. Michael, thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. Chadley, thank you for the follow, guys. Awesome. Now you'll see I'm trying to be really careful when you've got this thing is getting really thin. I mean, it's pretty delicate. If I've got it in my palm like this and I'm pressing down, you see how there's like a little bit of a bow in my hand? You're putting bending forces in the middle of this. You don't want to do that, especially if you're pushing with a tool in that same spot. So you see me, I keep turning this, and you see how that tip is not on the leather. There's no pressure being put on this tip right here. That way, when I push in to take that flake, I'm not putting in bending forces. Chadley, this is obsidian. This came from one of my followers. I don't know if Kenosha's in here yet this morning. All right. Yeah, this Chadley, that came off of this flake right here yesterday. I drove a flake off there and then worked that down on yesterday's live. And then I'm trying to finish it out here today. I'm going to do kind of a little bit of an abbreviated live because I've got company over. So we're going to work on this for about an hour or so. I should be able to finish it before then, but I'm just saying we're going to finish it up and then work on something else. Right on, Chadley. Yeah, that's where most of us start is in the artifact. There's the love for artifacts, Knob. NLTS, it's personal preference. I like the antler. I like the way that it grabs the stone. I especially like it for glacier stuff like obsidian, that kind of stuff. But I prefer the antler tools, but I don't know if they're necessarily better or worse. Just like I said, it's more of a personal preference. That's like asking somebody, like a painter, is oil paint better than acrylic? I mean, it's just kind of, in this day and age, it's more of a personal preference as to the tools you use than it is out of necessity. I mean, I think you can get it a piece just as thin with either of the types of tools, whether it's antler or copper, but there's just a lot of variables that play into it. So yeah, it's a different transfer of energy in LTS. It's like the copper, when it hits, there's more of a percussive, I mean, it's just the way that it hits, and a lot of it depends on the weight of the bopper, the size, and a lot of that stuff, but it can also, shatter those edges if the platform's not set up strong enough. Yeah, I was thinking on this one I might do a side notch, Chadley, but this is some of my local material here for like dart points, atlatl dart points. And it's pretty close in that range. I think I've got another one over here that's yeah, this one is obsidian, black butter obsidian. That's part of that same set. Chadley, I am in Northwest Arkansas. You're in Ohio, right on. Okay, I'm gonna make sure, see how the tip of that piece is hanging off the back of there? Again, thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, you don't want any kind of bending forces on the base and the tip at the same time. Hey, Blake, good morning. Well, I had not worked any obsidian in quite a while, and I'll tell you the truth, it's been kind of nice. It's a lot easier on my joints. Does not get me all inflamed up as bad. That was a beautiful series of flakes right there. See how they went all the way out to the middle and just kind of trailed out here in the center. Now I've got a little bit of a spot right here, but I think we can get that on another flake coming back. So, hey Rick, good morning. Try to take some of it off right here. Now this works the same way, guys, as if, just imagine that this section that I'm trying to get off, you can see that there's a little bit of where a couple of flakes have stopped short right there. That one might pick some of it off, but so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to set up a platform that's in line with that, and you can see how that's like a little miniature isolated platform. Now we're going to isolate it a little bit more, and I'm going to try to throw that energy up there. I might be able to get some of that to come off. So I'm going to take a little flake to this side, a little one to that side. Now you can see how I isolated that kind of in line with that area. And I'd kind of switched gears here as to what I'm wanting to make. So I'm really wanting that to be a little thinner out there in the center, because I'm going to try to run some notches in there. So we're going to see if we can get this to get up underneath that little stack that's right there. I went right up to it. I might be able to pick the rest of that off. It did not. Doggone it. All right. Chase, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. I don't know if I can get it from that side either. We may have to come back and get that on the next pass. I'm going to make this a little bit more of a narrow triangle. That was my plan anyway, but like I said, if I can't get that little stack out of the center of it, it's going to alter what I'm wanting to do with it. L. Graham, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So I'm just going to drag those edges off. I'm not trying to push in or take long flakes here. I'm just cleaning up that edge and kind of dragging to make sure that we keep the convexity that we created in the piece. Yeah, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And get a little bit of dust on there. It makes it easier. This stuff it's hard to see where your tool placement is when it's so fine like that. So what we do is just put a little dust, and you can see all those the deltas is what they're called. They're just the leftovers from the flaking pass. And all I'm doing is just putting a tipper of the flaker on there and just pulling the end of it off, just real easy. I'm not trying to send flakes in there, just keeping that rounding. You'll see how it's see how that's making like a hollow ground. We're going to do that, and then we'll take a series of flakes off this face, come back and clean this up, and then it'll be ready to notch. But if you don't go through and prepare your platform, you know, if I just went in and ground this, what I'm doing is I'm creating little spots over here. Right now, this is just smoothing out that platform. If I get it to focus here, you can see how it's straightening it up. It makes it more uniform, and that's the key to getting a really nice flake pattern when you're working a series of flakes like that, is to have a uniform thickness and a uniform platform, so that you're able to push each flake off with, you know, the same amount of angle, the same force, all of that. So that's what I'm shooting for here. Hey, Don, good morning. Stu's Bug Lab, thank you for the follow. Yeah, right on. Well, I tell you what, you know, it's something that everybody can learn to do, Stu. You're my buddy over here. Sorry, I think I caught him with a little funny there. Jermaine, I am making, this is just a standard, it's going to be a side notch arrowhead here, if I can get this little problem spot that I've created right here off of it. But I'm going to bring the edges in and make it a little bit more sharp triangular. But yeah, guys, if you want to learn to do this, you know, it's not a talent, it's a skill. It's something that if you sit down with the resources that are available, awesome, Stu. That's what gets most people started in the flint knapping, is a love of the artifacts. So if you're finding them and you're excited about, you know, wanting to learn how to do it, I absolutely think you should try. It's something that if you spend some time with it, everybody can learn to do it. It's just dependent on the amount of time that you're willing to put into it. Oh yeah, Jermaine, I don't know anything about the gaming stuff, but I'll have to look that up and see. Heck, that might open up some of my work to a brand new crowd of people. I'm gonna try on this series to go a little bit with this. That's just a piece of bone here. Yeah, that was a nice flake there. Now, I didn't like the sound of that. Did you hear it? How it kind of clicked, and there was it didn't come off cleanly. It kind of chattered or broke, and what that is when that platform fails before I get that final push for that flake, and typically you'll end up with not a good flake, or, you know, some kind of a mess up. I got lucky there, but anytime you hear that, instead of just one pop by itself, if you hear like a scrape or a chatter sound, that means your platform failed, and you either got lucky or you got to look at what you're left with after that happens. So that's something that if you're hearing that noise a lot when you're pressure flaking, that'll tell you that you need to grind or beef up your edge work, make it a little bit thicker. was a nice series of flakes there. This thing is just freaking razor sharp. And I mean, take those series of flakes off there. That is incredible stuff. Pretty easy to see why they favored this material when they had it available to them. It works, you know, fairly easily. It's consistent, and it's the sharpest stuff that we know of ever. Trying to take off and drag off any little loose flakes that might be, like you can see within that, you see all those little dark spots along that white where I've just been dragging that? What that is where little flakes have come off that had that dust around them. Well, each of those little flakes that came off from me just barely rubbing on this would have broken when I put my tool up there and applied pressure. So those little flakes could have been responsible for that chattery click. Fly on films, this is obsidian here. This came from, we started it yesterday. It came from this flake right here that you see taken off this piece. That obsidian was sent to me by, I don't know if Kenosha's in here, but Kenosha Kinku sent me that rock and opened it up yesterday. So we're trying to make a little simple side notch point. After I get this series run, we're going to start looking at notching it. We're going to have a shortened live today, though. I've got company over, so I don't want to be on here too long. All right, that was a good series there too. It's getting down to the point where I got to be careful because it is getting so thin that if I put pressure in the wrong spot with the tool or my hand or anything else, that I'll end up breaking it. So hoping that on this series here we might be able to get under that little spot. If not, I think I can get it from the back here. So I'll tell you what, I did that and it started looking like a paleo, like a Dalton. I'm not sure I want to try to notch it. I think I want to try to run a little pressure flute up here, do that down either side and call it good. What do you guys think? Got a few folks in here watching. You want to see if I can run a pressure flute up this to try to take out that last little bit of trash and call this a little paleo? Or do you want to see if I can thin it and notch it?
Live audience says, leave it alone.
Yeah, the KVO audience here says to leave it in there. So, Michael, what is paleo it? Try to notch it. Okay, I got one for each, and I got to leave it alone. So there's a flute. Well, it won't be a flute, Roland. It'll be like a big pressure flute. Small flute, that's 3 for that, and 1 for
These guys just want to see you break it, man. Tell them no way.
Hey, Bones, welcome in Australia flute. Yeah, I got fish stick. Well, I would have done whatever you guys, it's overwhelming to flute it, but I would have notched it whatever the room wanted. I'm pretty easy to get along with,
They want you to mess it up, man.
Well, now we got 2 notches, but we've overwhelming the pressure fluted. So we're going to try that. I tell you what, because I'm going to be working this piece all week. This next one, tomorrow we'll work one from beginning to end, and I'll make a corner notch. I'll make like an elko. How's that sound? Hey, Zach. And now I got the notches coming through. My goodness, can't win for losing here. Well, we're gonna go ahead and set this up. I'll push a pressure flute off of it, and then the next one. Thank you, Fish Stick. I really enjoy it. It's something that I have a passion for. So, that's why I say I make stuff all the time. Here's one I finished up from last week. I had one of the flutes that kind of ran short on me. You can see it tried to continue on up, but it stopped. But I make a lot of paleo stuff, so it's kind of my favorite point styles and stuff, and I've never done any of it with the obsidian. So hey, Kenosha, that's who I got the material from. This is a continuation of that piece. I think I am gonna, when I did that bass, it just looked paleo to me. I'm gonna see if I can pressure flute that, and then I'll do a corner notch like an elko tomorrow because I've got a really nice profile of a point, and this really doesn't fit it, but this will make a really nice little paleo type. Well, it did take to the shape paleo, Kenosha, but that's the thing about it is, did it naturally go to that shape, or did I kind of push it that way because that's how I like to nap? My preconceived style and the way that I prefer to. Andre, good morning. But I'm thinking that I should be able to get under that on this side. So that's what we're shooting for. Right on, Kenosha. Yeah, it's like I said, it may be as much just the way that I nap that I've kind of pushed it that direction. But either way, I don't mind. It's awesome material to work. I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, that's what I'll do is tomorrow I'll take off a fresh flake off that core, and we'll work it into like a little desert corner notch style. Thank you, Andre. Yeah, absolutely, Don. Yeah, baked bean, it does have kind of a Dalton paleo-y kind of feel going to it, so. Oh, I absolutely am enjoying the material, Kenosha. I appreciate it. Like I said, this is the first flake I've taken off of it, and it's really worked nice. I'm hoping I can get some of that out of there on this next pass. It bothers me. Yeah, I do, Andre. That's my, that's where I don't know, for me, that's just, I know there were finer points made, you know, in later, you know, I'm not trying to say that all the paleos were, but overall, the quality of the work of the paleo points and into the transitional stuff, the overall quality of those points where the material where they had access to it was just phenomenal. And the reason that they were like that, in my opinion, is because, you know, they weren't living next to a resource, they were following a food source around. So the stuff that they carried with them had to be the best of the best. Otherwise, you know, I mean, hey, well, I appreciate you guys tuning in to watch, Andre. I mean, it's, like I said, it's something that I would do every day, you know, if you guys weren't watching or otherwise. This is definitely a passion of mine. So I just appreciate you guys tuning in and checking it out. Like I said, we're getting towards the end of it, and you got to be super careful at this point to make sure that I'm not putting forces in the wrong spot, bending it, all that stuff. So this should be the last pass on this, and then we'll put the little pressures in it, and it'll be good to go. Awesome, Andre. Well, I tell you what, Kenosha, I appreciate it. I really do. I mean, it means a lot to me. You guys, you know, coming in each day and you know, with that kind of support, with sending me material to work and just, I'm overwhelmed with it. You guys, I mean, I really appreciate the support from the community and from you guys. It's just, to do something that I love to do and to be able to share it with people is so awesome for me. And there we got a big part of that. That was awesome. That was what I was hoping for, was we'd be able to. Oh, that one went right next to it. See how that's taken off that? You can see those flakes and the dust. Right here is that last flake. It came all the way off to here. Now I have to be careful and not push a flake too far, because this is how I end up making a lot of drills. Typically what happens is once you get the convexity is just right, you actually have to be careful that not let the flakes go too far. And I know that sounds kind of weird, you know, for a lot of people. It's like, what? I have trouble getting them to go as far as I want. Well, once you get the correct convexity built into that piece, those flakes just want to travel that curve. And you don't have to put near the force in to get them to do that. See, I'm just picking those off, and they're going out here to the center of the piece. Whoop, I must have missed something there. I got a LMAO here from Andre, and I don't know what I said that was funny. I say so much funny stuff, you know, which one could it be? Oh. Yeah, I got my buddy chuckling in here anyway. Oh, the turning pieces into drill. No, that's exactly, you know, how a lot of my stuff turned. You know, if you see me post a drill, it was probably a killer looking piece before it became a drill.
He's got a lot of drills laying around in here.
Yeah, he ain't lying. I've got several in the basket right here that I'm getting ready to finish out. Very rarely do I start off to purposely make a drill. You know, it's kind of like Kenku's saying there. It tells you what it wants to be, and once it says drill, then you're pretty much following that. You know, and that's the the danger when you get to this stage of making a point is that one flake to go over and rip out the other margin of this thing, and I'm all of a sudden and yeah, I know, I feel you there, Andre, because like I said, there are a few, I've got one posted right now. I haven't. They're homeless Mandalorian.
Fish stick, homeless Mandalorian.
My buddy's over here. He doesn't have a viewer to be able to see the comments and stuff. So I start calling out names, and he's all catching him off guard. He thinks I'm trying to come up with funny stuff, and it's not me. But no, I haven't tried that or thought of that. The primitive stuff, and he's a research junkie like me, so we connect on that. But we like old stuff. It's just that I go a little bit farther back in the old stuff.
Yeah.
Shane has forever told me that I've been trying to reinvent the wheel since he's known me.
Yeah, the last 30 years.
I just seem to go regress or go farther back with the things that I do. It's like, hey, look at this cool stick. Nope, I use a rock. It's just...
No, it was like compound bow. Look, compound bows are cool. And then you progressively got to where you're making your own self bows out of crappy old trees. Just makes no sense at all.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. I'd never thought of that, but yeah, I don't do a lot of that kind of stuff. I do have some art projects going on, but typically it's just, oh, come off there. Whew, I was worried there. I was just about, oh yeah, we got right through all that stuff. Sorry guys, I was trying to make sure I didn't mess this up in the final stages here. Oh yeah. All right, now what we're going to do, right on, Bobby. Yeah, I've done a little bit of toying around with atlatls myself. That and primitive bows. I've got a throwing stick that I just recently made. I still haven't got my video put together, but that's one of the things I'm going to talk to my buddy Shane here. He is an RC car enthusiast, and we're trying to come up with a moving target scenario for my throwing stick video. So that's one of the things that's on the agenda today. This is what we call a mojo meeting. So
Remote control rabbit day.
there you go. Right on, Andre. Yeah, I'm going to do, eventually the throwing stick was the first in the series, but I'm going to do primitive weapons, and then that I'm making with Stone Age tools, and then I'm going to demonstrate the use of, I kind of got the idea similar to like what, I don't know if Arrow Sniper's in here, but if you guys, you want to see some just insane, yeah, remote control rabbit day. That's what Kenosha, when he heard remote control rabbit day.
That's what we're working on, Kenosha.
But yeah, that's we're just toying with all kinds of ideas to be, to do some cool shots. But no, Arrow Sniper, if you've ever run across his profile, that guy does some seriously crazy shots. Oh, right on, Todd. You've used a rabbit stick or a throwing stick for rabbit hunting? That's awesome. Yeah, I'm toying around with it. Like I said, I made this one it was my first one that I'd ever made, and it's, with Stone Age tools. So right now, it doesn't have a whole bunch of, it's not a really good hovering one. It's more of a, I mean, it goes out at a nice, you know, like this, but it doesn't have any rise to it. So it probably needs a little tweaking done to it, but all right. And I'll show you this pressure flute platform here in just a second. Let me get it set up here. Now guys, when I show you the, you know, like when we're doing along an edge and you're trying to build isolation to a spot, you're trying to do the same thing back here. You just have to look at each of these ears as being an edge or a tip or a base, and I'm trying to isolate a platform and a ridge in the center of it. You can see how, you get it in the camera here, we've got an isolated, stuck out spot, and there's an area of mass right behind it. Well, now I've seen, hey Travis, thank you for the follow. Yeah, Todd, I've seen the, oh, I can't remember now, but when I was doing research, Abandoned Adventures, there are a lot of resources. I mean, if you Google or look up online, but there's all kinds of places. But yeah, I've seen, Todd, there was some that I can't remember what culture it was, but they were more for like in brush or stuff like that. And they had like a knob on one end. It looked like a mace, if you know what a mace is, like a, you know, a medieval mace, but just a smaller wood version of it. But yeah, Abandoned Adventures, there's, you know, you can order them online. You can get, you know, if you've got family members that used to hunt, I mean, there's so many places that you can get them. They're not cheap. And the unfortunate thing about antler is that the texture can be different. You can get some antler that's softer, and I'm sure it has to do with the diet of the animal, the age of the horn, you know, the antler, whatever, a lot of different variables, and sometimes just genetics, but there's a different texture to different antlers. And I truthfully go through quite a few before I find the ones with the, you know, the consistency and the texture that I like to work with. Well, now I've heard the people going to get the dog chews, you have to be careful because some of those, they boil them, you know, to kind of disinfect them, and it'll soften the bone up. Yeah, and that's the way it is here too. You know, if people are, most people around here though, even if it's a little small basket rack or something, they're keeping the antlers. But, you know, there's, hey, Silencer, how you doing this morning? Yeah, Bobby, and I know a lot of people use those for, are you talking about making a handle out of it? They'll work for handle use, but a lot of times if you're trying to use them as a tool, they're a little bit more, I don't know, gummy, I guess is the way to put it. Well, happy birthday, Silencer. Glad you could come in and join us this morning. How many years young are you? Yeah, and that's the problem, Kenosha, is you got to be careful with any of that stuff that's processed, you know, because you don't know what they've done to it to make it quote unquote safe for your animal. All right, we're gonna push that little flute off there. 44. Well, happy birthday. All right, now I'm going to elevate that up off of this pad just a little bit. You see how that's stuck up in the air just a little? I'm going to put this pressure inward, and then I'm just going to do a steady pull down. Now I'm not doing this. This is something that I see a lot of nappers do. when you see this pad move, it's usually laterally like that. It doesn't change the angle. So here we're just going to apply the pressure right on the end of that platform. I'm going to push inward, like towards the tip, and then I'm going to do a force down. And it went all the way up to here. It wasn't a big flute. I thought it was going to be a little bit bigger than that. But we'll take another little one next to it. Oh yeah, that worked out nice. That looks, with that one central flute. And then we'll get the same thing kind of over here on the other side. I'm just gonna drag this down. I'm not grinding it as much as I'm just using the texture of that stone to kind of pull off little flakes around the edges. You know what I mean? It's still fairly sharp this way, like to feel the edge, but it's like puts a tiny little bevel on that. And that bevel, it will be my platform. This final flaking pass, this is and I'm doing the same thing here, just not as aggressively as I did on the other side. I don't need a big flute because this thing is already thin. That other one, I was just trying to get up into some of that problem that I had on there. Okay, this should be my last one right there. Oh yeah, really nice thinned area for hafting. Let me clean that up. Bring this ear in just a little. Well, and I just picked the end of it off. I love it when I do that. That makes my day right there. Right towards the end and pick that off there. So we'll alter that just a little. And I'll make the other side fit it. I was liking the way those little ears were looking too. Trying to get it to a spot where I'm not putting any pressure on that other ear so it doesn't break it anymore. And we about got it. That's the kind of a pain in the, when you get it just about done and it's all balanced and looks good, and then one of them you have to alter it, then you have to go back and kind of change your lines. I mean, you don't have to. It's, you know, historically I don't think they did it that way. Hey, hon, my wife just got here. Just caught me. We're getting ready to wind it down. Shane's over, and we're gonna solve the problems of the world today. Have us a mojo meeting. Just about there. Yeah, I think the balance. Jenny says, hi, Shane.
Hey, Jen.
All right, I think we're... Get this hafting area kind of ground down. Yeah, we'll do tomorrow. I'll take another flake off that core rock, and we're going to do a little corner notch Elko. I've got some really cool examples I'll show you as soon as I get done grinding this. Hey, Silencer, you too. Absolutely, Rick. Yeah, kind of a Dalton paleo-ish kind of piece, Pappy. I liked it better before I drug one of the little ears off of it, but it's well within the... We'll look up and see if there's a paleo style that's similar to this in my book. I'm grinding that hafting area. This is another time when I've been... It's notorious for dragging part of your point off like a little Buren flake. Yeah, there went a little piece up. All right. Yeah, I may pick at it a little bit more, but that's what we ended up with out of that first flake. This is the core rock that we took that off of yesterday. Here's that first flake that we worked around, and then there's the... Actually, it was like this. The tip was towards the bulb. So that's the... Whoop. Get it in frame there. That's the point that came out of that flake. So you were going to order the new one? I'm telling you, I don't know how much better the new ones can be from the old ones. What other stuff that they've got that they've figured out, Pappy? But I've got one that I've carried for a while now, and I mean, I can't imagine there being any new point styles, so as long as this is referencing what I need it to, that's what I'm getting ready to get over here. This is what we're going to do. Tomorrow, I will take off a flake, hopefully something like this. This is called an Elko corner notch, and we're going to do something like this. I just, yeah, I'm going to be able to make quite a few pieces out of that, hun. Sawyer, you like the music and the vibe? All right, let's see if we got I'm sure there's a paleo something in here somewhere. Oh, these were another one that I wanted to do, was these desert deltas. I like the look of those. Those look a lot like a Cahokia. Jesse, this is the official Overstreet Indian Arrowheads Identification and Price Guide. This is the 15th edition. They just came out. That's what Pappy was saying. They got the 16th edition out now, but yeah, here we go. Here's a black rock concave is what they're calling it. So they're talking about the base. So we're similar to that. I need a little bit more of a contracting base, but you can see I'm right in the neighborhood on that. You have the 9th edition. I'll tell you what, after seeing that, the way those come in a little bit more at the end, we'll just take a little edge grind. There we go. Yeah, I can live with that. We'll call that a paleo style of right on. Well, I'm going to get a picture of that on the what I'm hoping to do, guys, and I'll share with you what my plan is with that material. Is I'm going to each flake that I take off there that I feel like I can use to make a point, I'm going to work it down to a finished piece and then take a picture of it back on the core rock where I struck that flake at. Just to show just how a piece of rock like this, how many points that you can get out of it from the beginning of breaking it down, and then hopefully at the end what I'm wanting to end up with is a nice biface. But I'm trying to use each flake that comes off this to make a point. I've got one flake down there, I think it might be big enough to make a point from, but I'm gonna try to use every single piece of this as I break it down. So there's the first one off of it, a little like a paleo-ish. Really nice flaking pattern on it. So that's the plan anyway. We're going to get a photo of that here in a little while, and then tomorrow I'll drive off another flake and we'll work it from beginning to end. So you guys, we're getting close to the end of the hour, and I usually cut it short when my buddy's over. So Todd, hey, thank you, Rick. Yeah, I think it'll be neat to show everybody just how much material that you can get from one piece if you mindfully break it down and not just trying to bash it apart. I could go into that rock and try just to get one piece out of it, but if I did that, think of all that waste of a material that I can make just numerous points like this out of it. I mean, that I could probably make 6 or 8 more just like this, and then some smaller ones. So that's the goal of it anyway. So guys, I appreciate you coming in and hanging out. Hope to see you tomorrow morning. We'll have a regular. No, actually, I'm glad I thought about that. I won't be on tomorrow. I've got to take my wife to the airport in the morning. So tomorrow evening, I'll do the Wednesday night at 8:00 p.m. So I'm glad I thought about that, or otherwise you guys would have wondered where I was at. So next time I'll be Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. is when I'll be on. Right on, Justin. Well, I appreciate everybody, and keep looking out for the new videos coming up on YouTube. I'm close to being caught up with everything. I'm getting ready to go download this and upload it to YouTube. So eventually it'll be up there in a few days. So guys, I appreciate it. Take care of yourselves, those around you. Until I see you Wednesday evening, keep chipping.